Hello, welcome to Financial Insider Weekly. I'm your host, Michael Gray, CPA. My guest today is John Hopkins. John is an attorney who co-founded Hopkins and Carley, a prominent San Jose law firm, in 1968. John is a shareholder of the firm, a member of the Family Wealth and Tax Planning Department for that firm. He was admitted to the State Bar of California in 1957, only yesterday. I was 6 years old. John was a Phi Beta Kappa graduate of Stanford Law School, a member of the Order of the Coif, and also completed 4 years of graduate work in counseling psychology at Santa Clara University. I will say that members of the estate planning community in Silicon Valley, where I live here and where we record this show, we regard John as a mentor. He has actively promoted community giving. He's also spoken widely about succession planning for family businesses, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So before we get started, I want to give a little caution, and that is, as will be evident in our conversation, this is a really complex area. I will say we're going to be talking about issues in succession for family business because the problems are so tough. Anyway, but it's intended to be the basis of a further conversation with your advisors, possibly including psychological counselors. John, thanks so much for being my guest today.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
I'm really excited to have you. To capture some of John's wisdom in this area is really something as far as I'm concerned. So let's get started with our questions. Okay, so first, how is a family business different from other businesses? And what complexity does that bring to succession planning for those types of businesses?
Family businesses obviously are owned by families, and they're also differ from other businesses because the owners are trying to leave this business to their heirs. And obviously the heirs are going to be participating in the business and run it.
So you can look over at me here, John.
Okay. Many other, the typical business, particularly say Silicon Valley, the people that go to work in Silicon Valley companies are not planning to leave their Silicon Valley company to their children. They're planning to have a liquidation event and sell their interests, but that's not the goal of a family business. So that's the big difference right away. The second problem is that, or character is that a family business incorporates two different systems. One system is the business system, and the goal of a business system is to make a profit and to continue operate it efficiently, and you pay people for what they contribute, and follow normal business rules. But also present in this same business is a family system, because father or mother are in charge and children come into the business. And the family system is quite different. A family system is run on the basis of love and participation, and people in the family get rewarded not for their contributions, but for what they need. It's a very socialist organization, and they contribute what they can, but they get compensated with what they need. Not the case in businesses. You get compensated for what you contribute. And so those two tend to get mixed up, and decisions are made a little bit based on the family and the business system, and then a little bit on the family system. And that's what causes friction and other problems. And why most family businesses don't get down to the third generation. Very few, 9%. They say 9%. And even something, there's maybe a 30% drop off just going from first generation to second generation.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about some of those details as we go along, but it is a challenge to get the family business down to another generation. All right. Well, why might the persons who are usually consulted about business succession plans be ill-equipped to properly handle that type of a plan for a family business?
There's a couple of reasons. The family business owner has continuing contacts with their accountant, and that tends to be one of the first places they go to ask about, what do I do with my business? You've been helping me plan my business, keeping track of it and all that stuff. And they might also be talking to their lawyer about their wills and trusts and how they're going to leave their estate. And then they say, well, I have this family business, and how do you think I should do that? So both of those professions are generally pretty skilled at understanding family businesses as to the business aspects and the legal aspects and the tax aspects. But neither are really experts or even really good at understanding family systems, which is psychologically based. And if you don't understand the system, then you're designing a structure for people to live in, a corporation, a partnership, an LLC, or making these recommendations without any thought to exactly how is this going to work for this family, not just the participants who are working in the business, but the ones, usually there's some that aren't working in the business, and how is that going to work and how is that going to fit with family happiness and good family relationships. That's sort of off the table. That's somebody else has got to, the parents have to deal with that.
Oh boy.
So, yeah. So
the problem is the parents may not be around afterwards.
Well, even when they're around, they tend to make some, they don't communicate about the business to the ones that are not, and they don't communicate their objectives, what their plans are, and the children are sort of intimidated to ask, you know, well, am I going to inherit this business, or do I share it with my brother and sister who never paid any attention to it?
I have one of these situations that I'm dealing with right now, and both of the parents are really getting along, and I mean in years. And Dad, unfortunately, I guess has developed dementia, and so he's sort of losing the connections that he had there before, the order in his mind. And he's been the type that's never talked about it at all. And everybody tells me, well, I always wanted to be respectful, you know, of Mom and Dad and so forth. Yeah, you want to be respectful, but meanwhile the pieces are falling off the walls, you know.
Right. So that's a common dynamic.
It's really tough.
Parents want to be fair, want to treat everybody equally, but they never tell. But equal isn't always fair in a family business.
Right. Now, how about the relationship of the attorney? So I'm talking about a little bit of the thing that attorneys usually are supposed to represent a client, not necessarily a family.
Well, strictly speaking, that's true, that we have a client, and we have to define who that client is. When it comes to family business, usually we start off, the client is father or mother and father, and doing their estate plan. And if we get into family business and planning about that, we become more like a family doctor, where we know the children, and maybe we do their estate plans and so forth. And then when it comes to doing the family business, we're looked upon as kind of, as I say, the family doctor. We treat everybody, and the ethics lines get blurred, and it from one standpoint, it makes us more effective because we can talk to the children and so forth, find out what their needs are, and then talk to the parents and try to mediate a lot of things. But it also can create legal problems should there be a dispute. Then we're disqualified from representing anybody. And there are risks involved if you don't get written waivers from everybody, which sort of breaks the charm of being a family doctor, that you have to get these papers signed.